You're listening to the Fear in the Southwest podcast. Hey, this is Drew with Fear in the Southwest podcast. Welcome to Season 3, everybody. Woo! Season 3.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's Alan.
What's going on, guys? Sorry for the little wait, but Season 3 is going to be off the hook. So, what's our topic today, guys? What are we starting Season 3's premiere with?
Ghost towns.
Arizona Ghost Towns.
Arizona Ghost Towns. Have any of you guys been to Arizona? Like, come on, you've heard of Tombstone. That was a movie. OK Corral. That was in the movie.
One of the best corrals. You never hear about that. It's only remembered for that one event.
Yeah.
Not any of the horses that they held onto there.
Yeah. It was all about the action that happened there, and it had nothing to do with the horses.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, there is a long list of ghost towns in Arizona. Obviously, we got the main ones, Tombstone, Bisbee, which isn't really a ghost town per se. Neither is Tombstone. It's very touristy now.
All of these towns are just new towns on top of old ghost towns, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, let's think about Tombstone, the town too tough to die, so obviously it's not a dead town. Town catches on fire entirely and just rebuilt it like it was nothing. Cool, we'll just start all over again. Forget the mining accidents, the town burned down.
Well, I mean, when you talk about like old Yuma and old Flagstaff, they're very different places, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a city that's on top of that old town, but that town died.
Yeah. Yeah. Those two towns were never the same. Someone didn't like talk about old Flagstaff, and like one of my cords just starts bouncing on its own. Okay, cool. So my room is ghostly.
Ghost room.
Sorry, guys. I'm really fascinated by that thing moving by itself, and I'm like making sure it's not me. Okay, well, that was weird. So,
There's a cord hanging off the end that way. That's what's been moving. No, in the back of that.
oh, I know what it is. Okay. That's what happens when you have a spring-loaded cord. It pulled it down the desk. I'll have to fix that. Anyways, we got sidetracked right there, everybody. Season 3. We're at Season 3, guys. Can you believe it?
Can't.
Huh?
No.
I can believe it.
I'm by fast now.
All right, so let's talk about Arizona ghost towns. What originally brought like all these ghost towns to Arizona? Tell us some of the history stuff.
All right. So mining is probably number one, and then the dry climate. So, back in the old days, people suffered a lot from tuberculosis, and heard that Arizona had a dry climate because of the heat and everything. It was beneficial to people that had tuberculosis, but
Not beneficial to people who didn't have tuberculosis.
The important
Very
thing
true.
is they weren't able to make it back home, and that's all they cared about.
yeah.
And we're talking about coronavirus right now, COVID. Yeah. Well, they thought Arizona was, that's the place to heal. And the people in Arizona are like, no.
No, thank you.
No, take it away. Like, what the heck are you doing here? So, mining, health, land, dry climate, mining. Let's talk about that. Arizona is very well known for its copper. We are the copper state. So obviously a plethora of copper for people to mine. Some silver and some gold.
Silver and gold.
Yeah.
There's a lot of all of those. It's just a lot of these towns had really short periods of gold boosts. And then that was pretty much it.
If anyone knows anything about mining towns or towns like that of the day, it was very full of obviously miners, saloon girls, prostitution, all sorts of shit that can get you in trouble.
Yeah, mining and then crime. That was pretty much it.
Mining and crime. There you go. That
Good old West for you.
yeah. Shootings. Hey, you fucked my prostitute. I'm gonna kill you for it.
Hey,
Yeah, they killed
hey.
you for anything back then. If you stole a horse, you dead man, you know?
Stole a horse, stole your girl,
Stole some sheep,
stole your beer.
cheated at poker.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
cheating at
that was a
poker.
big one.
Oh yeah. Don't cheat at poker.
Yeah.
Saloon fights, assassinations.
Oh, there's tons of assassinations.
You gotta admit,
Also a lot of natural disasters. What else down here?
Yeah.
flooding,
Yeah.
Fires.
fires,
Especially with the dry heat here.
tombstone. The town too tough to die. You wanna know where they got that? The whole freaking town burned down, and they're like, "We'll rebuild." It sounds almost political, doesn't it?
The founder, the name Tombstone was because they told him it would be his tombstone if he started a town, right?
Yeah. Has anyone here in this room been to Boot
It
Hill?
was always pretty bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Boot Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Boot Hill, for those who don't know, is like Tombstone's famous graveyard. There's really no other way of explaining that. It's a graveyard on a hill.
We're really, really close to some of these towns, huh?
yeah.
Oh, we are. Oh, I mean, the list goes on of ghost towns. Like, let me read off some of the names. Maybe we could talk about a few. I think there's one that really just stands out that like just cracks me up. I'm like, how did anyone come up with this name? Chloride, guys, chloride.
Wow, no.
I mean,
Apparently, it's the oldest continuously inhabited ghost town the oldest continuously inhabited town in Arizona.
chloride, really?
Yeah.
The name. It was found in 1870. Obviously, it was a mining town. Chloride was very rich. Verbatim, the post office was established in 1873. The town at the time had a brewery, a general store, and a blacksmith, and several saloons. Because, you got to have a lot of those bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. For that town, 3 of them was a lot. The name, guys. That's just the name. That's what gets me. Chloride. Take me to Disney. I don't want to go to Disney. Take me to Chloride. I want to get high on bleach. Don't do that. It's bad. Clorox is hydrochloride, chlorine, whatever it's called, is fucking terrible for you.
Well, it's probably because of how dangerous it was to mine. That's probably why they called it chloride.
Yeah, unearthing all that stuff. You don't know what's under there, what they encountered.
I don't know, just the
Serious
name.
death.
I mean, does that sound appealing? Like, hey guys, let's move to chloride. That sounds like a brand of bleach.
It did to a lot of people. That's what a boomtown is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back then maybe there wasn't such thing as like bleach, but
Back then there was a lot of migration too, because one town wouldn't do well, it was falling apart. Then they'd go to another town,
yeah,
trying to get their footing.
lot of changing of.
And relatively shallow vines of like deposits, whether it's silver or gold. They tended to be really shallow. The veins of them.
Yeah. There's also a lot of trade here. I had a lot of trades with the natives and
Oh yeah, but
Man, definitely a lot of native grounds.
oh, Pima Indian. Oh, there's a ton of. I mean, so yeah, chloride, guys. There's a chloride, Arizona. Like,
I mean, there are, yeah.
What?
Even chloride is renowned for its like ancient Navajo and Hopi art.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Petroglyphs.
There's a lot of that around.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, what some of these names. Let's give you the perspective of why chloride really is one of the names that stands out. I mean, you got Sunset, Sunflower, Sundad, Stoddard, Stanley, Stanton again, and Gila. Stage Station. I mean, the list goes on. Silverbell. We're close to Silverbell. Like, I mean, we are within.
Well, the Silverbell mine has been continuously operated since that time.
Yeah.
Since the time.
It's been moved a little bit. Sasco was like its plant. Sasco is no longer there.
Yeah, Sasco was a smelting center.
Yeah, it was its smelting site, which is now a broken down hotel building, a jail. There are a lot where the captain is. You can see where that was. I've been there. Like, it's not very far from where we are right now. Like, it's literally probably a 40-minute drive through the desert.
Yeah, it's 30 miles away.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
and
close.
you can get there really quickly if you go over the Silverbell mine.
Don't mind the cats. They're very interested in this.
'Cause it's right next to Red Rock.
It is right by Red Rock. Matter of fact, if you take the main road from it, it takes you right to the Red Rock exit on the freeway. So it's very close to Red Rock.
And the coffin nail was almost put in both places by the Spanish flu epidemic. Most people credit that with the final departure of the town.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm laughing because normally the cat wants out. The cat was meowing to come in. Okay.
A lot to say.
She's very intrigued with this ghost stories.
She probably knows a few.
Yeah, she's a black cat.
Other kitties outside.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so obviously Arizona's full of them. Let's talk about some of the main ones that, maybe you guys have heard of. Has any of you guys been to any of them? Let's start with Jerome. Let's go to Jerome.
That's a good one to start with.
Let's go to Jerome. Everyone's heard Tombstone. That town too tough to die. Oh, Doc Holliday, Wyatt
We
Earp.
talked about it. Mining and tuberculosis.
Yeah, there you go.
It's very haunted now.
Birdcage Theater. Ooh, haunted.
Over 9,000, almost 10,000 people died in that town.
Yeah, it's haunted. What can you say? Jerome.
And the hotel was just the old hospital.
Yeah,
so.
Jerome, yeah.
Yeah. So Jerome is a fairly touristy ghost town now.
About 2 hours out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's located on Cleopatra Hill. So it's like, it faces Sedona, so a lot of that red rock and, that copper scenery that Arizona is known for and everything. But like they were saying, like Alan was saying, it was, the main hotel is, built after a hospital. So that's always a haunting there.
Welcome to Arizona. We reutilize buildings for different uses.
You know what's really cool about these little small towns? A lot of them have, like, on their mountain, like their main hills. So, Arizona's full of hills everywhere. But, like, on the main hills, they have, like a J for Jerome or, a B for Bisbee. And the whole reason a lot of these mountains have those letterings on them is for, the postal services, mail carriers, to figure out what town they were in.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell me how the hell Tucson got an A mountain.
Good question. Should look into it. The T mountain.
Maybe T Mountain was too prerogative. Guys, just make it A. Just make it A.
It used to be Arizona Mountain, but the mountain got smaller in the words.
We used to be Arizona Territory because before we were a state, we weren't considered a state, so Arizona Territory. So, Tombstone didn't do very well. We are closer to, Tucson's closer to Tombstone than Phoenix was.
Yeah. So
could be Arizona Territory. Something to look into.
we'll have to look into that one.
The answer, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys know why A Mountain is A Mountain, you think this native here would freaking know it, but no, I don't. I've always wondered that, especially with that theory of like, hey, J is for Jerome, and like all these other had like K for Kingman.
Yeah.
Where
next
did
time we go
Tucson
on-
and A go together here? Like, there's not even an A in Tucson. Like, what?
Next time you go on
So
a
if
road
you
trip,
see,
look at
if
the
you see a
mountains.
K on a mountain, you should just fucking lay down and die because you're in Kingman already.
That's pretty accurate.
But you're close to Route 66, so that's
What, get your kicks on Route 66 and lay down in Kingman and die?
And,
That sounds like a hell of a trip.
and Route 666, that took you to a lot of these places, actually.
You heard him correctly, guys. Route 666. Who thought of that name? I don't know, but we're talking about ghost towns.
I don't know. It's probably the heat. Everyone thought they were in hell.
Maybe like, thanks for bringing us to hell, guys. You said it was going to help my tuberculosis. I can't even say it because I'm like halfway laughing. It helped my disease go to dry climate. I almost died because it was just like an oven.
That was the case with Clifton, essentially. People really thought they were sitting on top of hell. Because you would have, like, gases from like, long dead coal fires that still, like, spit smoke up out of the rocks. That's just crazy.
So,
Welcome to Arizona. We have our own hell.
so some creepy stuff. So I went to Clifton. I used to go there pretty often, like 10, 12 years ago. And, on the side of the mountains, you're driving on this road and, it's paved and everything, it's modernized. But on the side of the mountain, you see crosses and you see, like, former gravestones. And actually, when they built these, more modern roads, they had moved a lot of the gravestone. And when they were moving some of these, burial places, they would find coffins with more than one body in it. And sometimes these coffins even had scratch marks on them. Right? So I thought that was some disturbing pieces of history. But yeah, if you guys ever go
Tons
through
of
it, you
violent
see
crime
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
There's so much considering how small the town always was. But yeah, there were a lot of pretty large scale tragedies there.
Like on your way, so like Morenci and Clifton are pretty close together. They're like sister towns and stuff. And just driving through there, there's a jail on the side of the road, the first jail in that area.
The most common paranormal complaint that I could find was skinwalker activity in Clifton.
Yes. Skinwalkers.
They even talk about small, like 4 foot tall, black, like figures that tend to follow you around and chase you, and that's kind of how the skinwalkers are generally described.
Yeah. Very much northern, like, well, throughout Arizona, but like you'll hear a lot of skinwalk, Grand Canyon, that area. But yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, the list is literally, I haven't even read like a quarter of the list, but I mean, guys, look up Arizona ghost towns.
What's the gold town really like right next to Chloride?
Next to Chloride,
Oatman?
Oatman. Yeah, Oatman. I've been there. That's like right,
Yeah,
the
that's
Bullhead City like area.
Uh-huh.
Our grandma used to live there. Grandpa was in Bullhead. No, in Bullhead. It was like an hour, 30-minute drive.
Remember I stayed there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was there for like a year.
Yeah, and I was there for a month babysitting. That's when like everything went wrong.
Plumbing shop.
My grandpa's plumbing shop. Good times. Good times. Yeah, Oatman. So this town is full of donkeys. The donkeys.
Well,
Man,
I'm just saying.
and donkey ghosts.
No. These donkeys, I'm like, they don't even get to retire. Like, what the heck? Like, the donkeys have become part of the tourist. They're like, feed me carrots. Yes. Oatman's my old mining town. I'm sorry, the donkeys just stuck out to me. I'm like, man, what a bunch of jet. Never mind. There's a little sign that says, watch out for the donkeys.
Haunted ghost town. You know what that means? Donkeys.
Donkeys.
They're like magnets for the occult.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Like, I remember Oatman. I remember all the donkeys. Yeah.
Some of them were ghosts.
Maybe they were ghost donkeys.
Mm-hmm. Too much horseplay by the side of the cliff.
No pun intended. That's what you get, donkeys. Just kidding. Yeah, so Oatman, like very touristy as well for that area.
You know, a little girl not too long ago ended up actually dying in chloride from. They ended up destroying a lot of the old mine tunnels because a girl fell down a mine shaft, an old mine shaft.
Oh my
while
gosh.
Going through the place.
It's actually not a very uncommon thing for these old towns.
Yeah.
Some of these old towns, they don't even know there was a mine tunnel there until, one wrong step.
Yeah, they find dynamite that hasn't been.
Set
Private
off.
claim
Yeah.
miner as well recently died
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
In his late 70s.
That's sad. Mines are very haunted too. Obviously, there was mining accidents because obviously the technology back then is definitely not like how it is now for mining.
Think about all the emotion that goes into a place like that. The desperation in those kind of people.
Well, they're
Especially-
desperate. They had to find something to survive. There was
Yeah.
no give or take. Like, if the town
So
didn't
angry,
succeed.
So oppressive.
Yeah.
Oh, very oppressive, very angry, and then there was a lot of. I guess you would kind of consider like gang. If you weren't one of the high money makers in this mining industry, you probably aren't going to make it.
They get raided by outlaws and stuff too.
And then you got outlaws.
Yeah,
They call it the Wild West for a reason, guys. It's the Wild West.
It was ugly and
It's hard.
short. It was like for Arizona miners at that time, it was like living aboard a whaling vessel, right? I mean, you basically buy everything from the company on board. That's how you get your clothes. That's how you get your food, and it's all by that company's surplus.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
And
almost.
your pick costs 10 times as much as it should because the mining company sells it to you, right?
Yeah, and that's all your only source for it. Picture that, guys. Picture in your guys' head. Like just think of Arizona and it's just climate. Well, it's not even. It's freaking hot in the summer.
It's
Winters get chilly.
today.
I mean, we had 115 today. I mean,
It's
it's
109 and it's like what, 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's 8 o'clock at night and we're still above 100 degrees. We don't get to cool off. So I mean, think of the climate in itself and what that would do to people, especially if they came from the East Coast.
Yeah,
They don't know
Midwest, East Coast,
What
yeah.
they don't know what
Here's
this.
when it rains, it floods everything.
And then back then, like when you got a good rain, it was disastrous.
Yeah,
Like
it was a flooded mine.
flooded mine, you'd be working. Next thing you know, you're flooded in. Mine deaths, mine accidents, weather, oppressiveness. Obviously desperation because you're desperate enough to come there. To basically Arizona hell because that's the only way you can live.
Every 30 to 50 years, there's been a large-scale epidemic since that point in time.
So just picture that picture. Just paint that picture in your head. Just like, for all of us people in Arizona, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People, it's a dry heat. Well, the dry heat's pretty fucking brutal. I'm not saying 100 degrees and 90% humidity sounds fun either, but
Also, like a lot of depression back then. And back then, alcoholism was strongly used. You get a cough, they would prescribe you cough medicine with high use of alcohol. So people were alcoholics here. We had the railroads, which brought opium. So there was opium dens, people getting high off the opium. So there was deaths related to that. So
Arizona had a drug problem.
Laudanum and other like opiates. Mm-hmm.
And then also, obviously, these towns were built on immigration. So you're getting a lot of different cultures, even back then, coming into a city. So,
if you had pain, they'd give you liquid cocaine.
yeah, there you go. Try this.
Yeah,
We're going to pull your
chew
tooth.
on some heroin. Why not?
There you go. That doesn't help set the picture of the times, And also, guns were like pretty much necessary.
And we had a lot of people here, that migrated from the South, especially after the Civil War and everything. They came here for work. Came here to
The
settle.
founder of Clifton was killed due to gun violence.
Gun violence is everywhere. I mean, you got some of the Hollywood, versions of gunfights are not very, the setting 10 paces, turn around shit. A lot of times it was every man for himself. It literally wasn't just like a thought out, like theatrical fucking performance of we're gonna do 10 paces. The first one, I'm not saying there wasn't those, but a lot of it was, some guy behind a side of a saloon reaches around the street, sees you in the street, and pops you. I mean, that was definitely not out of the equation. That was probably more often than not, people would shoot you in the back or not face you man to man from a tree line. I mean, so obviously the hate crimes,
Well, when people were executed or like there was a gunfight or someone's assassinated left out in the street, people would go digging for their teeth. They would be digging for their fillings to see if they could make profit off of them, taking their jewelry, their rings, whatever they had.
Their dresses,
Pickpockets.
their dresses and their suits.
But they used to go for teeth too because of the dental work and the materials they used back
Oh
then.
yeah. So I mean, if that doesn't spell desperation, and that's how desperate people were. They would literally take teeth off dead corpse just so they can make some money.
Violent fever.
Yeah,
Those
that's a
places.
good way to put it.
The violent fever, and so obviously that sets up some really good hauntings. Because that kind of energy, I think if you were walking in Tombstone,
Stagnates.
you walk into Tombstone with just that thought, I think you're gonna feel that oppression. That energy is still there. Just look at the history of it. That energy is still there. You walk into an old saloon or like the Birdcage Theater or something. You're gonna feel it if you understand like the energy around it.
Yeah, a lot of death and carnage there.
Oh yeah.
Talk about the Birdcage Theater having like 100-something, 140-something bullet holes in the walls. Still.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a few investigations of the place, and you're gonna get a lot of these towns. I mean, probably every one of them has some sort of story, death, violence. Just 'cause based on the time. That's just how the time was. You're gonna get, assassinations. Literally, that's probably more of your gunfights than actual gunfights you would see on TV. It's just straight up assassinations. You got to think about it then. Obviously, with the mindset people
So many
had,
people shot in their hotel room as the street at that time. No?
that energy of obviously every man's for themselves. You're working for the man. You got to buy from the man because you're mining. And if you weren't succeeding, you were desperate. And then if somebody took one of your prized possessions, because everything you own is obviously way more expensive than it probably should have been.
You rented from the mining company, you bought your groceries from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that desperation.
The doctor worked for that company and would let you die if you had no money in your pocket.
Yeah.
People used to trade their belongings, watches, anything, heirlooms for medical care, for anything. And farming was crap here. Farming in some areas of Arizona did well, but the heat here,
We had a surprising number of sheep outfits, more than cattle, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
Beardsley, that's one, right? That's really close to it, I think.
Beardsley, Maricopa.
Also not too far from
That's
here.
not too far from here now. It's probably about an hour and 20 minutes. It was still occupied as far as up to 1940. That looks like.
And that's the thing too. A
was
lot
an
of these
irrigation
little towns,
project.
or a lot of these little towns, between the 20s and the 40s, that's when they kind of just started to fall apart.
Think about
completely.
what
People
was
started
going on
moving
that time.
Yep.
The Great
The
Depression.
Great Depression, then we had World War II. These
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
didn't, or these places didn't benefit from
World
it.
War One,
Mm-hmm.
World War II, the Great Depression, influenza, and
Yeah.
once again, Spanish flu. That raked the entire state. What the worst of it was 1917, I think.
17, 18, I think. Yeah. that's the kind of energy most of these ghost towns are gonna give you. I mean, there was like Vicksburg. It was like, it was like just like 4 buildings along the side of the road on the way to Bullhead City, and like I don't know much of the history. I think last time I was on that road, I don't even see it anymore. I think they took it down. I think that place is gone.
Which one?
It's like that Vicksburg. Do you remember like going up towards like going to Grandma Beck's, going to the Bullhead? You go through like Wicking area, and then like there was like a 4 building like ghost town along the road. I forget what road it is. It's been so long since I've driven it.
I know, like old Wickenburg.
But there was like a 4 or 5 building ghost town there. It was like just along the side of the road. You pull over, look at it. At one point there was like a tip box. You know, someone was taking. But last I was on that road, I didn't see it.
Remember out when we used to tool around in the desert, like right out here, and we used to go and find like the foundations for buildings. I mean, that's where a lot of these people don't even realize that there used to be a town. They go looking for it on their GPSs.
Yeah, I mean, I remember asking about. We ran into one that still had like some of the fixture stuff, but like nobody knows about it. Like, oh, we don't know if that's there. You know, but there's a lot of that. I mean, the list is.
There were a number of showers, so we always thought when we were kids, we thought we're standing in a big building full of showers. This is probably a fucking prison. I don't know what.
Maybe it's a
I don't
prison,
know what it was.
shower house. I don't know.
Out there, weird places.
I mean, the list is freaking humongous, guys. I will try to post a link in the podcast description, and you guys can go and look at the list of ghost towns. But obviously, most people are going to know, you know, Tombstone, which really isn't technically a ghost town, and like, well, what people might consider a ghost town is like, oh, it's empty buildings. No, it's a ghost town in the fact that it's like it was a mining town. It was like that era, but it's kind
At
of
one point, the town folded up.
Yeah.
the town folded, but it's still around. So you're not. It actually doesn't even. You know, for most people's sake, why is Tombstone a ghost town? People live there. No, it's just that time era. Sometimes when we refer to ghost towns, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an abandoned town, but more of like the history's still there, like very prominent, like in its past and how it was developed, and like that town somehow survived through all this. It's still around today, as were a lot of these towns are obviously like there's nothing there, and that goes to show like that town's particular ability to survive, or like the funding, or like the business, or it was successful. It was very much derivative of how good this town was.
Another thing is like some of those towns, you know, that are real tourist attractions, you know, they have limited hours, and a lot of the people that work there don't even live in that town. They live outside of it. They travel to it. So gives you more of a perspective how much they're still booming, you know.
I mean, a lot of now they're tourist towns. I mean, if you were to tell me right now Tombstone's still a mining town, I'd probably laugh. It's a tourist city now, a tourist town. I shouldn't say city, but in its own right, I mean, that place has got a boatload of history.
Sometimes it seems to wake the dead, when they like breathe new life into the area, right?
It's like renovating a house, pisses off the ghost. You know, yeah.
The dust has to settle again.
But will it ever settle?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I mean, that's Tombstone's supposedly one of the most haunted places around, right?
It's pretty haunted, and
And
hopefully, one of our things for this show is, you know, eventually going to these locations, filming. You know, we are going to develop a YouTube channel to follow along with this, kind of hand in hand. So we would take you guys to
what's that? Goldfield?
Goldfield. Yes, Goldfield. That
Isn't that one?
I've been to Goldfield. That one's right next to the Superstition Mountains.
It's kind of like old Tucson though, right? I mean, it's all newly created buildings that fit the time and place.
Goldfield, or Youngsburg, as they would say. But yes, they've basically rebuilt this into a
Yeah.
tourist attraction. But It's very close to what it would have been. But one of the coolest things about Goldfield is, one the history, but look up Goldfield on that link, and you'll see the Superstition Mountains is like right. They're really right next to it. And if you all know some of the stories of the Superstition Mountains, there's a reason it's got that name. But maybe we'll talk about that on another episode.
Yeah, a lot of these places tend to carry the label of cursed. That's what you hear. That's what you hear with Tombstone. That's what you hear with
Goldfield,
Clifton.
A
Yeah.
lot of them. A lot of times, those people would blame their failure of a city or town on a curse.
And a
You know,
curse. But look at all the blood spilt here. With the natives, with people.
they would blame the native. That's why we were on their
coming to
land.
This clan, this town.
Yeah. You did this on our land. Look, we get it. Like, there's a lot of history in the state. And obviously, just for some clarification, out of our, the reason our channel is called Fear in the Southwest is obviously we are from Arizona, so this is like our hometown. Like, this is where I was born. So that's, we spend our lives in. Obviously, that's where we're stationed, is in southern Arizona. So that is where our name comes from. But doesn't mean we don't talk about stuff outside of Arizona, outside the U.S. We'll still talk creepy stuff. But that is the reason for the name. It's we don't just specifically talk about just stuff in Arizona, because eventually that list will run dry.
Yeah, but we feel remiss if we didn't do our duties and try and focus as much of it on the Southwest as we can while we still can.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got a long list, and then we're going to expand. Season 3 is going to be great. We're going to have a lot of great topics. Obviously, our show is going to expand into other platforms, video podcasting, YouTube. We go to locations, talk about it on location. That might be a little more exciting so when that comes up, we'll let you know. And obviously, like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff.
It's good to be back.
So, season 3, guys, look, it's going to be awesome. Again, you guys can leave us a message on Anchor, on our channel platform, Fear in the Southwest. There should be a link on our page to leave us a voicemail. Tell us about some of the ghost towns you've been to. Have you had any experiences? We do want to start doing a follow-up section, in the next episode of, responses of what we get. Check us out on Facebook as well. We're Fear in the Southwest Podcast on Facebook. Like us, and you'll get all the updates right there.
Feel free to share stories, pictures.
Ask for critiques if you guys want to know if it's...
Give us some ideas.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to hear about?
Yeah, what do you guys want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about? And, share it in the comments section. Post pictures. If you have a picture you think is a ghost, share it. We'll all try to pitch in and figure out, hey, what we think it is, what it could be. Do you want to be debunked, or do we want to leave it as a mystery?
At this point, there's no such thing as unhelpful feedback. So
Yeah, no. Any feedback is good feedback. But thank you guys for sticking with us. Season 3 is going to be great. We look forward to the next episode. Y'all take care. Be safe.
See you later.
Stay creepy.